I was scrolling through Facebook on a quiet Tuesday evening when I first saw it. My girlfriend Brianna had posted a long message about toxic men and red flags. She wrote about knowing your worth and walking away from people who drain your light. The comments were filled with praise for her bravery. Everyone assumed I was the problem. What they did not know was the truth hiding behind her perfect online persona. So I did something nobody expected. I liked her post. Then I commented, "I agree." Before I begin this story, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. If you have ever dealt with someone who twisted the truth to make themselves look like the victim, hit that like button right now. And if you are new here, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss what happens next. Trust me, the ending is not what you expect. Let me take you back to where this all started. I met Brianna about 2 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party in Austin, Texas. It was one of those warm spring evenings where everything felt possible. I had just turned 27 and life was going well. I worked as a software developer for a tech company downtown. The job was stable, the pay was decent, and I had a good group of friends I had known since college. My family lived about 30 minutes away, and I made it a point to visit my mother Linda every Sunday for dinner. Life was simple, but it was good. That night at the party, I was standing by the snack table making small talk with a coworker when I noticed her across the room. Brianna had this energy about her that drew attention without trying. She was laughing at something someone said, and her whole face lit up. I remember thinking she seemed genuine, the kind of person who actually listened when you talked. I did not approach her. I was never the type to make the first move. But about 20 minutes later, she walked right up to me. She said she liked my shirt. It was just a plain blue button-down, nothing special. But the way she said it made me feel like I was wearing something designed specifically for me. We started talking, and I realized she was funny in a way that caught me off guard. She made jokes that were clever but not mean. She asked questions about my job and actually seemed interested in the answers. By the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers, and she texted me before I even got home. The next few weeks were a blur of late-night text conversations and phone calls that lasted until 2 in the morning. She told me about her job as an account manager at a marketing firm. She talked about her dreams of traveling to Italy one day. She asked about my family, my hobbies, my favorite movies. I felt seen in a way I had not experienced before. When we finally went on our first official date, a small Italian restaurant on the east side, I knew I was falling for her. The first 3 months were everything I thought a relationship should be. Brianna was attentive and caring. She remembered the little things like how I took my coffee or which podcasts I listened to on my commute. She surprised me with homemade dinners after long days at work. She left sweet notes in my jacket pockets. I introduced her to my mother, and Linda adored her immediately. They spent an entire afternoon talking about gardening while I just sat there smiling. My best friend Marcus, who I had known since freshman year of college, gave me his approval after meeting her at a barbecue. Everything felt right. After 6 months, Brianna suggested we move in together. I did not hesitate. We found a 2-bedroom apartment near downtown, close enough to both our jobs. I started imagining a future with her. I opened a savings account specifically for an engagement ring. I pictured proposing on a beach somewhere, maybe during that trip to Italy she always talked about. I thought I had found the person I was going to spend my life with. But somewhere around month 7, small things started to shift. At first they were so minor I barely noticed. Brianna mentioned that my friends came over too often. She said it would be nice to have more quiet evenings, just the two of us. I agreed because it made sense. Then she pointed out that my mother called a lot. She said Linda was sweet, but maybe a little too involved in my life. I defended my mom at first, but Brianna had a way of making her concerns sound reasonable. She was not demanding, she was just sharing her feelings, or so I thought. One night I caught her scrolling through my phone. When I asked what she was doing, she laughed and said she was just curious who I was texting. She made it sound playful, harmless. I let it go because I had nothing to hide. But looking back, that was the first crack in the foundation. I just did not see it yet. I made excuses for her behavior because I loved her, and love has a way of blinding you to things you do not want to see. Around month 9, Brianna started creating problems with the people closest to me. It began with Marcus. One evening after he left our apartment, Brianna sat me down with a serious expression on her face. She told me that while I was in the kitchen getting drinks, Marcus had made a comment about how attractive she was. She said he touched her arm in a way that made her uncomfortable. She looked genuinely upset, and I felt my blood boil. I confronted Marcus the next day. I called him and accused him of disrespecting my girlfriend. Marcus was confused and defensive. He swore he never said or did anything inappropriate. He said Brianna barely spoke to him the entire evening. I did not know who to believe, but Brianna was my girlfriend, the woman I was planning to marry. So I chose her. I told Marcus I needed some space. The hurt in his voice still echoes in my memory. Our friendship of over a decade nearly crumbled because of a lie I did not recognize. With Marcus out of the picture, Brianna turned her attention to my family. She started finding reasons to skip Sunday dinners at my mother's house. She said she had headaches or work deadlines or just needed to rest. When I went alone, she texted me constantly asking when I would be home. My visits grew shorter. My mother noticed the change. She asked me once if everything was okay, and I told her things were fine. But Linda had a way of seeing through me. She said Brianna seemed to be pulling me away from the people who loved me. I dismissed her concerns as overprotective mothering. Brianna painted my mother as controlling and overbearing. She said Linda did not respect our relationship. She said a grown man should not need to check in with his mother every week. Slowly, my Sunday visits became every other week, then once a month, then barely at all. I found myself isolated with only Brianna as my anchor. At the time, I thought I was choosing my relationship. I did not realize I was losing myself. The gaslighting started subtly. Brianna would say something hurtful during an argument, and when I brought it up later, she denied ever saying it. She told me I was misremembering. She said I was too sensitive, that I twisted her words. I started questioning my own perception of reality. Maybe I did hear her wrong. Maybe I was overreacting. She had a way of making me feel like the problem was always me. She called me insecure when I asked about her late nights at work. She said I was lucky to have her because most women would not put up with my issues. I worked harder to make her happy, to prove I was worthy of her love. But nothing was ever enough. If I cleaned the apartment, I did it wrong. If I planned a date, it was not thoughtful enough. I walked on eggshells in my own home, terrified of setting her off. Brianna took over our finances, claiming she was better at managing money. I handed over access to my bank accounts without question. She monitored my spending and questioned every purchase. I stopped buying things for myself without asking her first. I did not see it as control. I saw it as teamwork. How wrong I was. The worst part was her social media presence. Brianna was obsessed with her online image. She posted constantly about our relationship, always portraying herself as the devoted, long-suffering girlfriend. Her captions had subtle digs at me that I only recognized later. She posted things like, "When you love someone more than they deserve," or "giving your all to someone who does not appreciate it." Her friends and followers showered her with sympathy. They told her she deserved better. They called her strong and inspiring. I saw those posts. I read the comments from strangers telling me to treat my girlfriend better, even though they did not know me. I felt humiliated and exposed, but I stayed silent. Confronting her about it always led to arguments where I ended up apologizing. She posted quotes about strength and surviving difficult relationships. She built a narrative where she was the victim and I was the villain. The worst part was that people believed her. They believed her because she was convincing, and I never told my side of the story. I felt trapped in a version of my life that someone else had written. Every day the walls closed in a little more. I lost my friends, my family, my sense of self. All I had left was Brianna, and even that felt like a prison. Everything changed because of a message from someone I never expected to hear from. Stephanie was Brianna's best friend from college. They had been close for years, and I always assumed she was on Brianna's side completely. So when I saw her name pop up in my messages one afternoon, my first instinct was to ignore it. I figured Brianna had sent her to check up on me or deliver some kind of warning. But curiosity got the better of me. Her message was short. "Crawford, we need to talk. It is important. Can you meet me somewhere private? I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop on the other side of town, far enough that we would not run into anyone who knew us. When I arrived, Stephanie was already there, sitting in a corner booth with her hands wrapped around a cup of tea. She looked nervous, almost guilty. I sat down across from her and waited. She took a deep breath and told me she could not stay silent anymore. She said Brianna had been having an affair with a co-worker named Derek for the past 4 months. Derek worked in her office, and they had been sneaking around behind my back the entire time. But that was not the worst part. Brianna had told Derek that I was abusive and controlling. She painted herself as a victim trapped in a toxic relationship, and Derek believed every word. Stephanie pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots of conversations between Brianna and Derek. The messages made my stomach turn. Brianna described me as emotionally abusive. She said I isolated her from her friends. She claimed I monitored her every move. Everything she accused me of was exactly what she had been doing to me. She was planning to leave, but wanted to destroy my reputation first. She wanted everyone to see her as the brave woman who escaped a monster. I sat there in silence, my mind racing. The betrayal cut deep, but something else emerged alongside the pain: clarity. For the first time in months, I saw the situation for what it truly was. I was not crazy. I was not the problem. I had been manipulated by someone who was incapable of honesty. I thanked Stephanie for telling me the truth. She apologized for not coming forward sooner. She said she had been afraid of losing Brianna's friendship, but watching me suffer had become too much. I told her I understood. Fear makes people do things they regret. I drove home that day with a strange sense of calm. I did not confront Brianna. I was not ready. I needed time to think, to plan, to protect myself from whatever she had in store. For once, I was going to be strategic instead of reactive. The first thing I did was reach out to Marcus. I sent him a long message apologizing for everything. I told him I had learned the truth about what really happened and that I should have trusted him. I expected anger or coldness. Instead, Marcus called me within minutes. He said he knew something was wrong. He said he had been waiting for me to come back. True friends forgive even when they have every reason not to. I visited my mother that weekend. Linda hugged me the moment I walked through the door. I told her everything, and she listened without judgment. She said she had sensed something was off, but did not want to push me away by interfering. She told me I was stronger than I knew, and that she would support whatever decision I made. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly separated my finances from Brianna. I opened a new bank account and redirected my paychecks. I found an apartment across town and paid the deposit in cash. I gathered my important documents and stored them at my mother's house. I took screenshots of Brianna's manipulative social media posts and saved them in a folder. I was building my exit brick by brick. Then came the night that changed everything. I was sitting on the couch when my phone buzzed with a notification. Brianna had posted something new. I opened Facebook and saw it immediately. A long paragraph about toxic relationships, about knowing your worth, about walking away from men who drain your light. The comments were already flooding in. Her friends praised her courage. Strangers offered support. Everyone assumed she was talking about me. I stared at the screen for a long time. In the past, this post would have devastated me. I would have questioned myself, wondered what I did wrong, maybe even apologized to her for something I did not do. But not anymore. I knew the truth now, and the truth had set me free. I did something nobody expected. I pressed the like button on her post. Then I typed a comment. I agree. Everyone deserves to walk away from toxicity. Within minutes, the confusion began. People did not know how to interpret my response. Some thought I was being sarcastic. Others thought it was a cry for help. Brianna's phone must have exploded with questions because she came storming into the living room with fire in her eyes. She demanded to know what I was doing. She called me pathetic for trying to embarrass her. She screamed that I was proving her point by being toxic and manipulative. The irony was so thick I almost laughed. Almost. She disappeared into the bedroom and came back dragging 2 suitcases. She threw my clothes inside without folding them, grabbed toiletries from the bathroom, and stuffed everything in with violent efficiency. Then she dragged the suitcases outside and dumped them on the driveway. She pulled out her phone, took a photo, and posted it with the caption, "He agreed he is toxic." So I told him to start walking. The comments poured in. Her followers cheered her on. They called her a queen. They said she was finally free. Nobody knew the real story. Nobody cared to ask. I walked outside and looked at my belongings scattered on the concrete. Brianna stood there with her arms crossed, waiting for me to beg to cry to prove I was the weak man she had convinced everyone I was. Instead, I smiled. "Thank you for packing my things," I said calmly. "You saved me the trouble." Her expression flickered. This was not the reaction she expected. I loaded the suitcases into my car without rushing. Before I got in, I turned back to her one last time. "By the way," I said, "tell Derek I said hello." The color drained from her face. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away without looking back. The first few weeks after leaving were harder than I expected. Even when you escape a toxic situation, the damage does not disappear overnight. I moved into my new apartment, a small one-bedroom with plain white walls and second-hand furniture. It was quiet, sometimes too quiet. I found myself reaching for my phone to check if Brianna had texted, then remembering I had blocked her number. She tried to contact me through every channel she could find. She called from different numbers. She sent emails that alternated between furious accusations and tearful apologies. She posted more content online, doubling down on her victim narrative. But something had shifted. People were starting to ask questions. Stephanie made a public comment on one of Brianna's posts. She wrote that she had seen the truth and that the real toxic person was not who everyone thought. The comment went viral within their social circle. Others who had witnessed Brianna's behavior over the years started speaking up. The carefully constructed image she had built began to crumble. Derek distanced himself from Brianna the moment the drama went public. He did not want to be associated with the controversy. The affair that she thought would be her escape route turned into another dead end. I watched it all unfold from a distance, but I did not engage. I had no interest in revenge. I just wanted peace. Rebuilding my life started with the people I had pushed away. Marcus and I picked up right where we left off. We went fishing at the lake where we used to go in college. We talked about everything and nothing at all. He never once said, "I told you so." He just handed me a cold drink and cast his line into the water. That is what real friendship looks like. I started visiting my mother every Sunday again. Linda made her famous pot roast, and we sat at the kitchen table for hours just talking. She told me stories about my father, about her own struggles, about the resilience that runs in our family. I realized how much I had missed by staying away. I also started therapy. I needed to understand how I had let myself be manipulated for so long. My therapist helped me recognize the patterns of narcissistic abuse, the love bombing at the beginning, the isolation from support systems, the gaslighting that made me doubt my own reality. Understanding these tactics did not erase the pain, but it helped me forgive myself for not seeing them sooner. Months passed. I got promoted at work because I could finally focus without the constant anxiety of walking on eggshells. I started running every morning, and the quiet rhythm of my footsteps became a kind of meditation. I read books I had been meaning to read for years. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. Life opened up in ways I had forgotten were possible. Looking back, I learned something important from this experience. Toxic people often accuse others of being toxic because it deflects attention from their own behavior. The loudest voice in the room is not always telling the truth. Social media can be a weapon in the hands of someone who cares more about perception than reality. And walking away is not losing. Walking away is choosing yourself. I do not hate Brianna. Hating her would mean she still has power over me, and I refuse to give her that. I feel something closer to pity. She will carry her patterns into the next relationship and the one after that. She will keep building false narratives until she believes them herself. But that is her journey, not mine. I am free now. Free from the manipulation, the lies, the constant need to prove my worth to someone who was never going to see it. I wake up in my quiet apartment, and I feel grateful for the peace. I look at my reflection in the mirror and I recognize the man looking back at me. For a while I had lost him, but he is here now, stronger than before. If you are watching this and you recognize pieces of your own story in mine, I want you to know something. You are not crazy. You are not the problem. Sometimes the person pointing the finger is the one hiding the truth. Trust your instincts. Protect your peace. Surround yourself with people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. And never be afraid to agree when someone tells you to walk away. Sometimes the best response to manipulation is to simply say, "You are right. Goodbye. I am open to love again one day. But this time I know my worth, and I will never let anyone convince me otherwise." Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where someone tried to make you look like the villain when they were the one causing the harm? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing. If this story touched you, hit that like button so more people can see it. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories like this one. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for being part of this community. I wish you peace, strength, and the courage to always choose yourself. Until next time, take care of your heart.